Dunning-Kruger effect. Before we start with the next segment, we want to take you back to a familiar scene. Imagine, you were studying for your finals. You don't remember studying that hard. But there was always that one classmate who, no matter how he studied, feels like he was gonna do bad at the test. Then there's this other classmate who says he'll just wing it. Sure enough, after the exams, the one person who studied says he feels he didn't do so well, while the other who decided to wing it didn't find it as hard. Well, sound familiar? How many times have you seen people who have less knowledge but seem more confident than those who have more knowledge on the subject but at the same time seem less confident about what they know? Well, there's a term for that. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, named after its proponents David Dunning and Justin Kruger, psychologists from the Cornell University. What it is basically is a cognitive bias, or a bias of thinking by individuals who have a low ability in a certain field. These individuals experience what is called illusory superiority, a false sense of superiority or competence, by mistakenly perceiving their skills, ability, or know-how to be much higher than it is. While on the other hand, those who are on the other end of the spectrum, knowledgeable or highly skilled people, tend to underestimate their relative competence, which leads them to think that tasks that are simple to them might be the same for others. Now that's a handful to take in. The proponents themselves, both Dunning and Kruger, were inspired to tackle the study after learning about the curious case of MacArthur Wheeler. Wheeler became notorious for attempting to rob 2 banks. He was caught, of course, using CCTV surveillance footage. But here's the kicker. Wheeler believed that he was invisible to the cameras because of a little trick he picked up. Brace yourselves. Wheeler put lemon juice on his face, believing that since it was used to make invisible ink, well, he thought it made him invisible to the cameras. But obviously we know better. So that's where the study took root. The study suggests that ignorance of standards influences the often incorrect assessment of one's own competence. If so, why do skilled and knowledgeable people also fail to assess their competence as well? To explain this, we can take a look at a few factors. The main reason why competent people also underestimate their self-assessment is because they actually know more about the skills or tasks involved. This causes them to scrutinize their self-competence based on a more rigid perception of the competencies and standards involved. So people seem to be very bad at judging their own skill level and competence. But why is it important though? Remember, it's not just knowledge. The Dunning-Kruger effect can also be observed in other fields of interests, covering knowledge bases and even skill sets. Maybe you're confident enough to show a few skills and know-how, and there's no problem with that. But by knowing about this type of cognitive bias, we can learn more about ourselves and our competencies, which, if you think about it, can lead people to better personal improvement. The Dunning-Kruger effect is also especially helpful for prospective employers in assessing would-be applicants and helping with improving and developing the skills of employees. And it's not just in the workplace. Think of its implications in school and other educational systems, and how it can help with students' personal development.